If you came for the top end of the meta, this is going to be the place to look. You guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. Now this is by far, I think, one of the craziest metagame tops that we have had the chance to look at here for Modern Era, because I will be honest with you, you got some rogue in here. You got what appears to be the new crazy deck that has overcome, the gap, which, I mean, Chimera was no stranger to this regional. Chimera came, it saw, it took down this bad boy, and I actually think that that's pretty impressive. Now, on the flip side of that equation here, I mean, you do have all the Chimera good stuff in the world, but Rescue Ace took third and second place. So if you're looking at this and you're like, wow, we got a lot of Chimera going here, it's running a train on the regional. I mean, yes and no. I mean, if you got Rescue Ace coming up on the back end that close, you got a lot to really consider out here in terms of how your meta is developing. Now, we did also have two representatives in the top cut, but what's kind of interesting about that is they didn't win out. If anything, they kind of struggled a little bit more out here looking at how the rest of this meta was shaping up. And of course, we have a Kashtira player down here coming in at actually 8th place. The poor Kashtira player just got absolutely bodied into the lower half of the top 8. But if you're looking at meta and you're like, well, I wonder how the top end of things is starting to develop. I mean, every region we've looked at so far, it hasn't been super meta filled. You'll have, of course, a Chimera variant here or there, but the fact that you can see that difference in the meta, the changes that are adapting around it, was the reason why I specifically wanted to talk about this regional, just in terms of the sheer change in numbers. And it looks like, we kind of are heading out of that random meta phase. Let's pass it on over to those deck lists. The first we're going to be looking at here is Fallen of Albaz. Just kidding. It's what we've been talking about, where you kind of take your Fallen of Albaz brand of fusions here, you just toss them into the deck. Do you see any other Fallen of Albaz cards in the main deck? 4 of them? Yeah, that's it. Everything else that you're going to, toggle through is going to be usually down here in the extra deck. Now, the thing that I find very interesting about this list is we only play one Fallen of Albaz. I know a lot of people are going to look at this and they're going to go, well, I kind of want to play 2. I understand why you would want to play 2, but for the most part, it comes up sometimes, but not all the time. I also like the Crossout designators here. This deck definitely needs to make sure that it can play the game. And of course, I mean, we have the best Crossout target of all, right? You just be able to go ahead and shift her on up, laugh at your opponent, and they're like, oh, I can't believe you actually had it. Welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! They always have the counterplay. But outside of that, I mean, this deck is going to cover so many of its bases. It's amazing to me that this has become the standard. Next up here, we have Rescue Ace. Now, I'm glad to see that we have a Rescue Ace duelist out here that has not bulked down on 6 books, actually. Instead, we're doing the counterplay. If you don't want to play 6 books in your deck, or you don't feel that, you believe in 6 books, Super Poly is the next best alternative for you. We've kind of gotten back to the point now that Super Poly is a board breaker, because you have this, and you have this, and technically you have both of these as well. It just comes on down to what you play against. I'm also glad to see that we have somebody that's not playing the Firewall Terahertz shenanigans in the extra deck. I mean, it's cool that it does work out. I mean, you have all sorts of ways to, make the little innovation lines actually matter, but this is what I would consider more of the standardized control variant. Also, we are citing the additional Droll and Lockbird if we really, really, really need it, but it just kind of comes down to, hey, this was the matchup, and it looks like it played itself out. Hey, now this is what I'm talking about. This is I didn't quite believe in the Super Poly. We kicked it down here to the side deck, and now we're revving it up with 6 books. I mean, is this a standard? Yeah, pretty much. This has been the more topping ratio as of late. But once again, I mean, second place was able to kind of pull it out here with, the Super Polys. So, I can't discount it at the end of the day. I see that we're also playing Drolls. We're not playing the Ghost Mourners. Ghost Mourner has moved up in the format as a crazy representative for, just being a hand trap that people are not playing around. If you're not respecting Mourner right now, you're just going to take some extra burn damage. And you're like, oh, well, you know, I just kind of kicked the game a little bit or punted it. So it is what it is at this point in time. Droll is effectively taken over the format in terms of just how things are going in terms of speed. All right, we got more Chimera. One of these things is not like the other, actually. The fact that one of these duelists said, you know what, we're already playing the Fallen of Albaz package. You know what, let's go ahead and play Fusion Destiny. Technically, this does give you some draw power in the deck, and if you do top deck like a Mirror Knight or Mirror Swordman here, or something else, well, you can go ahead and special summon it on the next turn, which actually isn't terrible. It's just we haven't seen anybody play the Fusion Destiny stuff in so long. Actually, I had forgotten that these were cards that you could play in the meta. So congratulations to actually having a callback here and actually seeing that we could play the Fusion Destiny package in the meta again. I think we all do kind of miss DP. No? Nobody? Okay. Well, sorry, hero players. I guess no fun allowed. Good stuff, though. Next up is some Purely. Hey, look, it's the Droll and Lockbird. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say this, but I think Droll had a 95% representation across the board in terms of decks out of the playable weekend here. And yeah, it has kind of turned into that card that people are like, oh, well, you know, like, this is insane. Yeah, it kind of is. You also have the additional books down here on the side deck, so you can bring these in, pressure the opponent, make sure you can do your thing. And, of course, we have good old Exceed Encore down here. You know, I hate to say this, but the Purely Mirror is kind of annoying. Like, especially if they go first and they kind of open up the nuts. It is what it is. You're going to have to kind of burn something like a book to book the cat after it becomes effectable. You got a lot of things to kind of try to play around certain matchups. Not every matchup is going to be winnable. I mean, as is Yu-Gi-Oh! Tradition at this stage, but you've definitely got a lot more base covering here than you had in the past. And shifting gears here. Now this is a different take on Purely. So we have 5 books in the main deck, and we've gone to actually playing back row removal at this stage. And I'll be honest with you, looking at how much meta that they had to pull through here, the fact that you had to deal with Rescue Ace things in the top cut kind of does put a little bit more emphasis on this card. Alright, same thing with a Harpy's Feather. If you can clear off, 4 Rescue Ace cards, yeah, they can chain and do whatever they want with them, sure. But that once they've been expanded, you no longer have to worry about it. And of course, the classic that we've been seeing this format, the summon limit, you go ahead and wait for your opponent to unload everything that they're doing. You go ahead and flip this, and your opponent just stares at you and goes, what is that? Like, why is that on the field? This card alone pressures the opponent out of the game. It kind of is the free auto win button. Also, 2 Purely Leap. Somebody's breaking the mold out here. Okay. Next up here we have some Chimera, but this is going to be, we're extending a little bit more into the branded side of things here. You do see the 1 Aluber. We've gotten dangerous today. We're playing 2 Fallen of Albaz. Spicy. And they also wanted to go ahead and play branded in white and some branded openings in here as well. Honestly, the branded openings does give you some protection, which I suppose is fine. It just kind of depends on how you want to build the deck. I also see that they are playing the branded Retribution as well. I don't know what to really say here, because I think the regular Chimera version, where you're just kind of stripping out all this stuff, has kind of just been the go-to. It just feels like a much more consistent version of the deck at this point in time. I think this just goes to show, like, the current version of Fusion Go Turbo has definitely, it's hit the good spot, at least what I feel like in today's meta. And our last list here is some Kashtira. This poor duelist had to grind up through so much here. We've only got 3 books and 3 lances, and they had to grind through how many books did we just count through in the top cut alone? kudos for actually being able to play through all that. Like, that's actually crazy. I also see that we are playing Odd Eyes Rebellion and the Odd Eyes Rebellion Overlord here as well. I mean, 2 level 7 stack up, you can make a format Zeus, and that actually is going to be pretty good enough to tear through some certain fields. I actually think that this has been a pretty cool little inclusion of things here. Just how things have developed. So what do you think about these decks out of Utah in the meta? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.